I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If we could remain standing for a moment of silence, our men and women in the armed forces, past and present. Thank you. Here. Here.
Okay, I'd like to welcome everybody here tonight. We got a couple of things we got to get through tonight. Like always, first part of the meeting, I'd like to introduce Inspector Newbound, Sergeant Roscoe from the 7th Precinct.
Thanks, Bill. Since we met last, major criminal activity in the village. We've had no robberies, which is a good thing. However, we saw a little bit of an uptick in burglaries when I last spoke to you. We've had 8 in the last month. Obviously, that works out to be 2 a week on average, which is what the average was for 2012. Of those 8, 3 were copper pipe jobs, boarded up vacant homes. 1 was a commercial burglary, the Village Mart. It's an interesting story. A rocket scientist tried to burglarize the place while it was open for business. He tries to come in the back door and sneak his way up to the cash register to help himself. He had a hoodie on and his face was partially covered. And the woman on duty grabbed a broom and whacked him with the broom. There was another one, and he runs away. Yeah, exactly. There was another woman in the parking lot, or just behind the place there, had a mop and whacked him with a mop. The victim, the woman on duty, recognized the voice, provided us with a first name. One of the responding police officers kind of had an idea who it was, went to his house about a half a mile away. Sure enough, he's there. We wind up locking him up. We confiscated the clothing that he was wearing because it was rather descriptive, according to the description that we got from the victim, and he signed a confession. So that was kind of a grounder for us, but nonetheless, it's a confrontational burglary. We had one other confrontational burglary. I think I mentioned it to the mayor shortly after it happened. This was late at night. 2 young women, a 22-year-old and an 18, 19-year-old. 125, I believe, Diana Drive. And several masked people break in, brandishing long guns, rifles or shotguns, demanding money and drugs. They struck both of the women with the weapon. Fortunately, they only sustained minor injuries. The backstory to this, as I know most of you probably will not be surprised, the gentleman, and I use that term loosely, who was the resident of the house, was not there, and he had a little marijuana grow operation going on at the residence. So he wasn't home at the time, and his girlfriend took the brunt of this situation, unfortunately. But we have that's still an open investigation. But it is, a confrontational burglary, and it's something that obviously we take very seriously. One other thing to bring up, I know many of you are undoubtedly aware of this already. We had an incident, a major incident last week. I think it was the 2nd, which was last Thursday, right after school, about 1:45 at Manhattan Bagels. As we all know, it's a hangout after school hours. First, we got about 3 or 4 911 calls on this. First call came over about 1:45 in the afternoon. A number of units responded, including a sergeant, a patrol sergeant covering that area. Obviously, upon our arrival, all participants split. Some stuck around, and we managed to convinced them that it would be in their best interest to leave. We had no victims that presented themselves or came forth alleging being injured at this event. So the responding officer wrote up the report and closed it out right then and there at around 2:30 or so. Fast forward to approximately 8:30 that evening, we get a telephone call from the 5th Precinct. There's a 5th Precinct officer at Brookhaven Hospital with a parent and three teenagers claiming to have been injured in a fight right after school. It turns out that that was the same incident that we had responded to earlier. Our plainclothes officers, 3 of them went down to Brookhaven Hospital, interviewed the mother, her 15-year-old daughter, who wound up with a broken arm as a result of this incident. That woman, that victim's sister, was also present at the event, and she was struck in the jaw. Believed that she may have had a broken jaw, but that turned out not to be the case. And there was a 3rd female victim also that suffered a minor injury as a result of this event. We were able to, first of all, we had cooperating victims. That's the most important thing from our standpoint. Our officers took statements at the hospital. We had the name of the person who did this. It was a 21-year-old resident of Mastic Beach. We were at his house at about midnight that evening. Father was cooperative. We took his son in custody. He was charged with 1 count of assault in the 3rd degree, which is a misdemeanor. The other 2 victims declined to pursue charges. Had they done so, since they were not seriously injured, the charge would have only been harassment. We immediately, either just before or just after we latched onto this guy, we notified, we woke up one of the principals and advised them of the investigation. Obviously, they knew of the event earlier because it occurred right after school, but we gave them information on the victims that we had, and also the fact that we had made an arrest, and of course we gave them the identity of the arrestee, who wasn't a student, former student, I would presume. Since then, every day we've been at the school, both uniformed officers and also we've had plainclothes officers down there. We were there again today. Among the officers down there was Sergeant Roscoe from our Coke unit, and I'll let him fill you in on what he did last week.
So following that first incident with the assault, the next day after school we had information that it was going to occur again, and there was going to be a retaliatory type action. And so we showed up there ahead of time, but what we thought we'd be ahead of time, they actually got there ahead of us. And so there were fights in the woods just south of Manhattan Bagel, and then one actually in Manhattan Bagel, one in front of the school, and then it moved its way down Quail and Cypress and stuff like that. Ultimately, we ended up grabbing a youth or 2. I transported one home. We spoke to the parents and stuff. They're all juveniles, 14-year-old one I took home. So we spoke to the parents and stuff. They subsequently went and spoke to the school, and the principal hashed it out with them. And so the next day, we got there ahead of time, anticipating more fallout. And the girl with the broken arm was there, and the boy that took transported home, everything were all there. But it ended up there were no problems on that particular day. But we had information that there would be fallout going into the football game on Saturday against Connect Quad. So we went down to the football game that afternoon with several officers and the security guard for the Winfield High School that was there. And we patrolled the stands, and there were a couple of kids that showed up that were not supposed to be on school grounds. They didn't advise prior to the game that they weren't supposed to be there. And so we escorted them off the premises, and there was no further incident. And yes, the inspector said today we were there, and there were no incidents today, so that's where we're at now.
We'll be here the rest of the week, probably next week, until the weather gets colder. Yeah,
Can I ask, so is this gang-related incident?
no.
It is not at all?
What kicked this off was, actually, there were a couple of fights going on. There was a fight between two young girls, and then a guy, two students, 15, 16, a guy tried to intercede and break it up, and then someone else, obviously there was pushing and shoving, and another guy got involved, and then the one we arrested got involved because he didn't like the way another party tried to break up the original fight. It was, this thing happened in a few seconds, and before you know it, we have people that are hurt, and that's how it went down. So,
Just how it drew so many people. I mean, I'm understanding, in Dan Panico last night, he's correct. There were 100 to 150 students.
well, there probably was, sure. And we all know that's right outside the front entrance, and school's out. The first dismissal, I think, is around 1:30 or so, and that's where they're going. That's where they're going. So, I mean, we had this type of problem last year and the year before, and quite frankly, when we had our first meeting with the superintendent a couple of weeks ago, that was one of the items on the agenda. Manhattan Bagel, everybody knows it's going to be an issue again, and obviously it turned out to be that.
If you don't mind me interjecting. Part of the problem, in my opinion, I spoke to security guards about this, is some of the kids who are waiting to go to after-school events, or waiting for later buses, maybe they've been in after-school suspension or whatever, and they're waiting for rides from parents or relatives. They come outside of the gate, and then they go over and they want to take part in what's going on, or video it or whatever, and then they go back onto the school grounds. And so I told them that we can't let anybody that's supposed to be on school grounds come off and then come back on. If they're supposed to be on school grounds, they'll remain there. If they're supposed to be out of school, then they're off the property, the gates get closed, and then I know that anybody that's off school grounds is not supposed to be gathering around that area. So that was addressed, and in the day following the original incident, I should say 2 days after that, it actually was much better, and they did abide by that, and I think they helped a lot.
It's just that a number of us in the community would like to see arrests. The arrest and handcuffing of students is a very effective signal to everybody that's around.
You have to remember, we're dealing with people under 16. The arrest is something for, this type of incident is a disorderly conduct. You can't arrest a 15-year-old for disorderly conduct. Could some of them be older than that? Yes. But, there's already been one arrest made, and we deal with it as with what we're given here. And
My point is that the arrest was made after in another place, when students are in a fighting situation and police presence is there, and there are arrests. As you know, it's like throwing cold water on the entire, scene because of the arrest. Police are taking the handcuffs out and they're arresting.
You can bet your bottom dollar that everybody in that school the following day knew that there was an arrest the night before. And there were suspensions also.
Well, that's the difference. So that's why I asked, because gang-related suspension, that's a different level of
This
suspension.
was not a gang issue. Not a gang
We would have
issue.
liked to see arrests at the time of the fight.
Well, you know what? We
And I
can't
know
always
that's
do that.
easier said for us to do.
Yeah, you have to remember, we need a complainant. We need a complainant. We need somebody that's going to come forward and say, so-and-so punched me in the face, and I have an injury, or, I was threatened, or, we need that. We need that cooperation. And with these fast developing situations, we're there, and what's the first thing we want to do? We want to get Everybody's separated. Let's try and sort this out. Do we have anyone that's noticeably injured? Obviously, we have to render first aid and have rescue respond if need be. After that, we want to quell it and we want to restore order. And that's the first order of business. The arrests, it's nice to say to make an immediate arrest, but all too often when we do that, that turns out to be the wrong course of action because these things require a certain amount of investigation to be done, and that's what occurred that evening. We have to take written statements from people. In fact, in this case here, the fellow that we arrested, we have a written statement from him on this. So you have to put a case together. It's not a simple thing as coming upon a scene and having two people there and a third witness saying, person A struck person B fell to the ground. And that's an easy cut and dry thing. So, but what we're dealing with here, not so.
Just
Yes.
going to ask again, if the police officer observes an assault, one student fighting another, they have, in Suffolk County, can they make an arrest as the complainant? If the student is in the city, a police officer will arrest that child. If he sees that child assault.
Listen, you need a cooperating victim. Okay? You need a victim that says, I'm willing to give you a statement, I'm willing to press charges, I'm willing to go to court. You have to cover the bases.
No, I'm just asking,
Cover the
the police
bases.
officer observes the, if the police officer observes the assault.
Can I just,
Yeah.
what he's talking about is restraining the person, putting the handcuffs, standing over there, not bringing the lawsuit, not bringing him to court, not sending him to jail, but putting him aside and scaring the pants off the other people. That's what, we don't have that. We had 100 kids in Osprey Park, they could care less if the cops came. Because they know nothing's gonna happen. Because the answer from every policeman is, well, I didn't see it. Well, I don't know how you ever arrest a guy in a bank robbery, because all you got there is videotape. You didn't see it.
We're talking about a felony versus a disorderly conduct, which is nothing more than an infraction such as a traffic ticket. It's a big difference.
But
Big difference. Big difference.
What I'm saying is we should have, whatever it is, in my brain, which is very simplistic, a policeman doesn't care if the court's gonna let him go. The policeman sees an infraction, and he gives them a ticket, or he arrests them, whatever he does. He doesn't tell me, for instance, well, I can't do anything. If this gonna get out of jail in 5 minutes, it wouldn't be worth my paper.
But that's not the case here with this incident
I
last
know,
week.
I'm just saying, right, he's bringing that up, is that the kids have gotten smart with this. They know nothing's gonna happen to them. All right, nothing, there's no downside. You can do anything you want, because even if the cops arrest you, you're gonna be out in 5 minutes. There's no downside. And we're trying to get something, so there is a downside. And I don't know what to do, but, and I don't know if you can do anything, but, well, it's gotten to the point where they just laugh.
The person who got arrested certainly has a downside to this event.
But it's what I'm saying, if you have a tremendous amount of minor crimes that just go, that doesn't matter. I mean, I want to bring up a specific person, but I know somebody had his bike stolen. And he found his bike, and the police came and talked to him, and did nothing. And they had the guy that stole the bike. He was busy, is his answer, and he drove away. I mean, are we kidding?
There's gotta be another side to that story, so if you got some specific as far as the victims, whatever on that, I'd like to know it. Yes, in the back.
Yeah, a couple of things, but today I worked with Megan's.
Let's be quiet, please.
Worked with Megan's, we got 2 level 3s in violation of the quarter-mile law. Megan sends it to the 7th precinct. Where do we go from here?
Who you talking about?
Joe from Inspector for Megan's law.
Who's
He
Joe?
reported 2 level 3s in violation of the quarter-mile law.
That's something that our special victims unit, which happens to be located at the 7th precinct, would pick up. If the person's in violations, then there's something that they would be arrested.
Do they get arrested or do they get evicted? Because they're both in violation.
They get arrested first, it's a violation of county law.
Okay. Okay. Second
I
thing,
assume this guy from Megan's Law, since they...
he's checked on the computer that they're in violation.
Since they deal with special victims section on something like this, I assume he brought it to the attention of the detective or the detective supervisor in the special victims.
Right.
Okay?
Okay. Second thing, how we make out with 21 Sherwood?
By me,
21 Sherwood Drive.
what about it? I don't have any info on that right now.
Okay, 2 meetings ago, I gave it to you as a drug house and you were gonna sit on it?
21 Sherwood is still, I believe, in
Mike Lutz has that. Yeah.
He assigned it to one of the officers on team 2.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a patrol check, I know that, but I don't have any data on it.
Okay, and I think it was Thursday, the night of the Rumble, around a little after midnight. I live on Sherwood, we had helicopters overhead.
Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Now, if I can, it was, that was the night that the 13-year-old girl was walking the dog,
Yes,
and the dog came home without her, and she just got confused and lost.
yes.
Okay.
There's a missing person.
My experience from it out.
Yes.
I live at, my name is Marsha Faison. I live at 94 Hemlock. I run the daycare. It's well known to the police department because I have to let you guys know. And it's well known to those. I had a parent who come to my house to sign their kid up just today. And the husband was coming home from work and he forgot his keys. He called his wife. She said, stop by the daycare. I'll give you the keys and I'll meet you. Then he did just that. She went out to the cab, he gave him the keys, and he kept moving. Before he could get off Hemlock, he was pulled over by a private detective. He's Dominica. I'm not gonna say a foreigner because he's from the United States. And he was harassed. They wanted to see ID, and he was in the back of the cab. They pulled the cab driver over and harassed him. When he showed them the passport, they were like, "This is not enough information. How do we know this is you? I mean, passports have pictures, really?" So they asked him for more ID. He had his mail on him, and he showed them the mail. Then he harassed him about where he lived at, and they said, "Well, what were you doing?" And he said, "I had to pick up something." And then he said, "Can I just ask you, why are you harassing me? I'm in the back of the cab." And they said, "We're not tell you nothing." That's rude. First of all, now you don't even want to bring this child to my house. If I lose business because Suffolk County plainclothes detectives are being stupid about it, that's going to be a problem. And the detective's badge number was 5571.
You said it was a private detective.
Well, plainclothes detective,
Plainclothes. And his badge number was
5571.
5571. That
He didn't even want to give him his name.
was that person in uniform?
No, plainclothes,
Plainclothes, 5571. And this happened today.
today.
Okay, we'll have to find out.
Because I'm like, no, that, I know, I mean, I can't say I know for a fact, but I feel that the house across the street from me is a drug house, because you see people coming in and out left and right. But, can I say I actually seen drug transactions? No, I haven't. Now, if they're doing that, that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. But at least they can tell them, well, you know, there's a drug house in that area, we're just checking people. Make him feel a little at ease, instead of him thinking that if he just comes to my house for 1 second, then he's gonna be harassed by the police. That just can't be. They gotta do something better than that.
Okay. You have that person's name?
I'm not gonna give it out here, but I will give it to you.
Okay, you can give it to the sergeant. Okay. Yes,
Sir, I got here late, so you might have already described this one, but not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before, there was a high-speed chase right back down by the Massachusetts Beach Post Office, returning eastward on President. I have no idea how it was resolved, but it was a black pickup truck going as fast as it could go with a police unit right on its tail. I mean, as fast as they could go without rolling over. Is there any resolution for that?
I'm not familiar with the incident. I mean, we engage in pursuits fairly often, unfortunately, so I know there's nothing major that sticks in my mind.
Well, there were 2 more units coming eastbound on Neighborhood Road as fast as they could.
Kind of a common thing.
Okay. I guess it didn't hit the radar.
Yes.
I have a few questions, but one of them, because of the gentleman, like you just said, is Mastic Beach's information, criminal information, are they going to different people, or are they going to one person, or no more than two, that they can talk about it, so that when you come here, you know all these little things, and they're not a surprise to you? That's the first question.
I kind of missed the question here.
Can I repeat the question?
Phrase that a minute, I'm not sure I followed you.
Okay, the criminal activities that are happening in our neighborhood,
Okay.
does it go to one spot, or does it go to like 3 different spots in the police department, so that it all spread apart and you don't have access to a whole list of 5, like you know how you did, you explained the first 3 or 4 things that happened?
Right.
But these things are pretty important when you talk about racing down.
Well, that may have ended in an arrest, it may have ended in someone getting tickets.
Would you not have known that though, would they have memoed you and say, this is
If
something?
that was an arrest situation, yes, particularly if it was an arrest that, say, that was unusual in that perhaps the person being chased was someone that had just committed a crime.
Well, somebody going that speed is unusual here in
No, it's
Massac
not.
Beach.
Unfortunately, it's not. And as I said to the gentleman, us being involved in high-speed chases, that's a fairly common occurrence, so this happens all the time.
And do they catch the people? Do they do anything to them? Do they give them a fine for speeding?
Not always. We have a series of rules and regulations in place concerning high-speed chases. Number one, we don't pursue someone in a high-speed chase situation for merely violating the traffic law. If somebody goes through a stop sign and Sergeant Roscoe here sees it and puts on his lights and engages his siren and tries to pull that person over, and that individual blasts off at 80 miles an hour down your block, he cannot pursue him.
But right here, we just heard somebody say,
Well, but we don't know the reason for the pursuit.
right,
Was that that person just committed a crime? Was that person suspected of perhaps being an intoxicated driver? That's a different story. But, you know, it's all possible, it's all
we're just going back to what Frank is talking about here. What I'm saying, what I'm thinking about is, okay, so I could go and speed down Magnolia Drive.
and you might get away from us.
And
You
then,
might not.
so I don't get a ticket for speeding in our
No, I'm not
village.
saying you don't get a ticket. I'm not saying we're not going to engage in a high-speed chase of you for
Right.
merely committing a traffic violation.
Inspector, if I could just interrupt, can you also explain to them that, and I listen to it all the time on a police camera, when a pursuit is in action, there's constant communications between the dispatcher, the sector car driver, and the sergeant on duty. And public safety is the one priority that they have. And if it's a situation where there's public involved, they actually call the pursuit off.
That's his job.
That may have well been a guy who did commit a violation. The officer was simply trying to catch up with him. I mean, so it wasn't a legitimate pursuit, but he was trying to make up the ground, and then may have issued summonses for the violations which you weren't in a position to observe. So,
I'm just gonna ask you, my apologies. I'm gonna beat up. I gotta come back to something.
Please, no violence in the audience.
I think what she's trying to say is, you knew you were coming here, so anything that pertained to the village, the high-speed chase, the stop, the melee at Manhattan Bagel, is there some way you can correlate that, knowing that you were gonna be here on a sheet of paper, what arrest you? There you go, I think that's what she was
I bring
asking
this
for.
every week. or
I think
every
that's
month
what she
I'm
was
here.
asking
This
for.
is the last 4 weeks since we last spoke, and we don't break this, we don't include minor things like chasing a car.
I think that's what she
okay?
was talking
Or
about
writing
as far
tickets.
as
That might be
information.
Right. Let me run down the list. Robberies, burglaries, grand larcenies, grand larceny autos, pettit larcenies, and stealing minor stuff. Criminal mischief, assaults, arsons. This is for the whole precinct. And what I do before I come here, I look at the last month, and anything that has to do with Mastic Beach, I highlight.
Oh,
Folks in the front can see the highlights. This is the week of September 30th to October 6th, the previous week. So this is what I come armed with.
okay.
But I don't have in here the number of chases that we may have been involved in. I don't have the number of minor arrests, say, for disorderly conduct in here, because that's not a significant category. I could query my computer for that, but frankly, I'm not going to, because nobody's really interested in that sort of stuff. It's
She was.
major stuff. It's the burglaries and the shootings or the arsons. That's what people are concerned about.
Okay.
But, yep, here it is.
Okay, but I think that's what she was trying to get at.
Okay,
She
you
wanted
might
to
be
know.
right, okay, okay. Yes.
The area, I'm gonna call it the forest, like the forests across, across from the schools, like from the junior high, and the empty lots, but they got trees in them. Somebody cleared out some small brush.
Yes.
Which was, I'm saying, well, it's called green place, but I'm glad that in a way they did, because as we're driving home, we see 10, I didn't see because I can't see very well. My husband sees 10 students standing through class time in the forest, within the trees, right close to the school. And the question is, who am I going to call? Who do I call?
We just got in touch with Pat Campbell.
I can't hear you, I'm sorry, you have to speak loud like I do,
We just got in touch with
please.
Pat Campbell from the town this week, and we got a breakdown of the properties that are south of Manhattan Bagel and who the owners are, and they're going to be contacted in an attempt to clean up the properties and fence them off or whatever. They're going to come to some kind of resolution to assist in the problem with the students and stuff at the school, and then the hiding in the woods and the fighting in the woods.
If I could also add to that, the people that cleared the wood was the village. Shortly after the incident, actually a couple of days before the incident, we knew the kids were hanging out. It's something like a sump back there. So we sent our village guys down there to clear it, so now when people go by there, including the police department, you can actually see them in the woods. The other thing we're doing is the same thing like the sergeant just said, we're notifying, one of the properties belongs to the county, a couple of properties belong to the town, a couple of privately owned. We have notified them to put no trespassing signs on it. We're also working with the school, there's a couple of holes in the fence that they do come in from the back. So we are all working in conjunction with this, the superintendent of schools on board with Suffolk County PD. The day of the incident, I was on the phone talking to them. We're in good communications together. Just to answer, everybody's got my phone number. The night of the helicopter, the reason why I found out is I got a phone call and I answered the phone in the middle of the night, the answer man, because I know the helicopter's up there and I know why the helicopter's up there, and I'll just relay it back to the people. If you have a high-speed chase that you witnessed or saw, just give me a call. I make one phone call to the precinct, the desk sergeant. He'll inform me of everything that I need to know that I can pass it on to the residents.
Again, now, if we see the students in that private property across from the junior high, who do I call? Do I call the school to tell them to pick up their little sweethearts? And do they have the right to pick up the little sweetheart? Or do I call the police department to come in and tell the little sweethearts, they really should be in school right now? So who do I call?
If it's during school hours, schools should be aware of that, yes. I'd ask you, what are they doing? What are they doing there? I mean, is it a group of 5 kids? Is it 55?
This has been going on for 20 years, that they go and hide there, they probably do a little participating in their little party type thing. That's what I would imagine, that after 20 years that's happening. Thank goodness we're a village now, that we could address it a little bit closer, and then hopefully we'll be doing something about it.
When we find out there's kids in the sump, we've actually been calling the superintendent of schools, and he sends the security out there. Again, if they're just sitting there and there's nothing posted, I don't think the PD can do anything because it's actually somebody's property and they would have to be the complainant. But if you see the kids hanging out anyways, and they call the superintendent of schools, and he'll send the security out there to find out.
I did call the high school.
Okay, he'll send his
I got
people
that
out there to
number.
find out, and that's what we've been doing. They've been actually getting out of their cars, walking in the woods now because they can see
And
them.
what is the definition for loitering?
What is the definition of loitering? Well,
I mean, what, if you're also, the next part of it is, if you are guilty of loitering,
well, there's different kinds of loitering.
okay, what's the
You
loitering?
know, it's loitering to solicit for sex. The prostitutes do, like hanging out on the corner.
Loitering with the intent to engage in drug activity, stuff like that. They've recently amended the loitering sections and stuff, which used to include hanging out on a train tracks, yeah, any type of transportation facility and stuff like that. So those have all been amended and taken out as unconstitutional. So they trimmed down the loitering statutes in the recent past.
Hanging out in the parking lot or in the woods, you know, from a generic standpoint, yeah, it's kind of like loitering, but from a legal standpoint, well, we might be talking about, if it's posted, you could be talking a trespassing issue, but loitering really isn't the operable term for this situation.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes?
Just to answer to your question, I don't mean no disrespect, the village, I mean, not the village meeting, the school board meeting, you have half the people you have in here, and the school district actually handles 5 different towns. If you have a problem with that, you really should go to the school board meeting where the board is sitting there and express your concerns there and tell them you want something done about it.
Well, I call them directly.
Calling means absolutely nothing. That facial thing means a lot. If you're at that board meeting and you tell them the complaint you have, then trust me, they'll do something because they don't want you to come down there and complain. Is that right, man?
One more question, I saw another hand out there.
Yeah, I know that you say that you come, but I work at the high school, and I see every morning by TJ's Heroes, kids selling drugs, and I've called about it, like, over the last 10 years, probably 50 to 60 times. I've never seen anybody there in the morning to stop them. And I'm told, oh yeah, we're gonna send somebody there. And every morning is the same thing. And I've called multiples of times, even before I started working at the school, and now that I pass there every single morning. Because school starts for me at 6:45.
What spot is this?
TJ's Heroes,
Oh, the Heroes, okay.
right in the parking lot there.
Like it's...
Like they go there every day to buy drugs. And everybody sees them, but nobody does anything about it.
What
Yeah,
time?
I drive by at 6:45.
6:45.
And this is right by the school, and you see
Yeah, I
it.
know,
I didn't see it the last 2
No, I'm
days,
saying,
but
but-
mostly when I drive that way, you see it all the time.
That goes along with what I was saying, so it's like, at Vino's Pizzeria, they don't even hide the idea that they're selling drugs. Hey, howdy, hey, it's right here, it's not like secret in the corner in the dark, it's just like, they know, it's okay.
Fortunately, we make arrests every day for this sort of stuff. So I know you're seeing it, but also I know that we're grabbing it too. We get lucky lots of times, and it's the nature of the business. We try to keep getting lucky. But I know it's a problem, and I'm familiar with TJ's. I know that's a hangout in the morning and the afternoon. Thank you for bringing that up.
In that vein, they have, in the last year or so, gone online with what they call NITS complaints, the Narcotics Information Tracking System. Every arrestee that comes through our doors gets debriefed, and any information that's garnered from those debriefings gets forwarded up to narcotics or the associated command that would handle that problem, and they pick it over for what they can do with it. It's a narcotics type of thing, and it can be investigated at our highest level. We get undercovers involved, they might do drug buys and stuff like that, they might work in informing, And if it's not at that level, then they bring it back down to this level, where we can work it at the street level with cops going and checking locations and stuff we talked before. About maybe Hemlock might be a place across the street where they're dealing. In that case, it would come down to the Cope office, and the control officers would then investigate and look for ongoing further activity, which might then bump it back up to narcotics. So any arrestee, debrief, and any information going comes full circle and gets picked over until it's got nothing left.
Are there any plans to have any more police presence in the near future with the budget? I don't know when the budget goes through for your office. Are there any plans for more police presence in the area?
You mean hiring additional officers?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, any additional officers coming to the 7th precinct would have to be the result of new hires. There was supposed to be a class in September, a new class of 75 or so. That didn't come about. I know the issue is still on the county executive's desk. We're hopeful, we remain hopeful that there'll be a police class before the end of the year, but we don't know how that's going to turn out. Joe?
Quick question.
Sure, you've had your hand up plenty of times. Go ahead.
The home invasion that you mentioned, you guys with the guns and stuff.
On Diana Drive,
And
yes.
Diane Drive. And I think that's more important than the little stuff kids hang out in the woods. And do you know who these people are? Or you can't say?
We got a good idea. Yeah, let's just say this case is still actively being investigated. You're welcome.
One more back there?
Back to the loitering. I understand that you're short-staffed and everything, but if we could have any patrol officer, you know, if they see somebody that's always in front of TJ's or always on Neighborhood Road in the same place, if they could just tell them, you know, you need to move along, maybe there wouldn't be so much loitering or drug activity or whatever. I mean, just a little interest in this area would be helpful.
We spoke to the gentleman who owns Manhattan Bagel the other day about the number of people that are in there, and there has to be a limit on the capacity for people in there. He's not really interested, if they're not fighting, in kicking the business out of the parking lot. You know, that's his livelihood, so he likes generating the business. But we had to strike, and I've talked to him about striking a balance. If they're here and they're not purchasing anything, then they're taking up space and creating a problem. So maybe we could expedite them out the door more quickly type of thing. But if people run businesses and they have people that are like hanging out there, I mean, it generates funds for them, and, you know, they're not opposed to it.
I'm sorry, across from the Whittier Deli, there's always two gentlemen that are standing there. That was supposed to be taken care of months ago, and I'm just wondering what's going on with that.
What are they doing there besides standing?
They're standing there all day.
Okay.
Drinking beer sometimes they're...
Well, that would be a problem for us, drinking beer.
They moved out of that house, and I haven't seen them. Yeah, they moved out of that house. That house was sold.
Okay, we take the last question right here.
Okay, thank you. Back to the whole woods situation with the students in the woods, and they might not be doing anything, they might not be hanging out, but say something happens in the woods. Say something was to happen in front of TJ's. We need the police to make their name, not only their faces, but their names known to these students that we are watching it. Because so you do not see them fighting, but anything can happen. Drug narcotics can be transpired between them, with a handshake, with the dab. You have to like make them know. I'm sorry, I don't even know your name. I'm sorry.
Bill Newbauer, I'm the CO of the 7th precinct.
Okay, let the students know that you got that your name. Let the students know the officers, so that they won't stand in the woods. Go to a park if you just want to stand there and talk. Be out in the open. Why do you have to be so secrecy about it? You know?
No, we don't know school time.
You know, and also, we have a real good relationship with the school superintendent and the high school principal and the staff, so there's a lot of exchanging of information between us and them, so they know too who the participants are and who the problems are, who the problem kids are, and they're giving us that information. As I said before, when we made that arrest, that was one of the first telephone calls we made, was to the school principal to let them know what we had done regarding that. So, you know, there's a lot of good communication between us and William Floyd, and I wish all the school districts in the county were that good as William Floyd is.
And I understand that 100% between the police and the enforcement, the seniority over the students. What I'm saying is make yourself known to the students. Because it's like, okay, they know the principal. It's like a so what thing to the students. And if you make yourself known to the students that we do care, that we are watching you, and we do not want you doing that. We do not want the drug dealers here. We do not want the people here. We do not want nobody messing up our village. Then guess what? The students might go into a class or they might stay home until it's time for them to go to school.
In her conversation.
Thanks,
In her conversation. If you ever come across my child, don't call the police. Don't call up on school. For me. I guarantee you 5 minutes with him, you're going to lock me up. That's the problem. We need parents involved. And I think
As Sergeant Roscoe said before,
Not me.
he was glad to drive one of those, a 15-year-old home, 14-year-old home to his mom. So.
You might give my son like that, you have to drive him home with me too.
Inspector Newell, Sergeant Roscoe, again, thank you very much for your time, and, communication is better, if I could be some help to the residents here, you guys have been very good giving me information. As long as you give me information I can pass on to them, I'm sure that we can, make communications better. And again, thank you very much.
You know how to reach.
Absolutely. Okay, thank you. Okay, is anybody from Project Hope here? Small presentation from Project Hope. You, Donna?
No, I'm actually Maureen. Donna had to work in another location. Hello. Hi. My name's Maureen, and I work with Project Hope. Has anybody heard of Project Hope before? After all of this time. I'm here with my...
It's only 3 hands, so you gotta do better.
I'm here with my 2 coworkers, Pete and also John Seaver, who you know. Wave, guys. Just want to take a few brief minutes to let you guys know that Project Hope is a free counseling service for anyone affected by Hurricane Sandy. And we've been working here at Mastic Beach for 11 months, and we try to come to as many community meetings as we can because we love Mastic Beach and we want to support you guys any way possible. And we're having a group every Saturday at St. Andrew's Church at the co-ed. So every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. we're gonna have some coffee, some cake, just an opportunity to kind of hang out and talk about where we are at, coming on 1 year since Hurricane Sandy. And we'll be here after the meeting. If the meeting doesn't go that long, we'll be here after the meeting, and we'd love to talk with any of you guys and see how you're doing a year after Sandy. And we love Mastic Beach.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go into a public hearing. First one is resolution amending section 380-4-A of chapter 380 of the Village Code to create a recall presumption of rent.
What does that mean, please?
Yep. I'm gonna read the whole law, and then I'll be able to walk. Can everybody hear me in the back? Okay. I'm gonna read the law, and then I'll explain what that means. Rebuttable presumption of rent. Any dwelling unit, rooming house, rooming unit, or any other premises subject to this chapter shall be presumed to be rented for a fee and a charge made if said premises are not occupied by the legal owner thereof. All right. What does that mean in plain English? A rebuttable presumption is an evidentiary standard that instead of putting it on the village to prove that a property is being rented, what this is seeking to do is, and let me use a real-world example. Absentee landlord who lives in Garden City owns 10 houses down here in Mastic Beach, never visits one of them but collects the rent. What this law is hoping to do is to put the burden on the landlord owner to to disprove that rent is being collected. Instead of us having to prove that rent is being collected, if you don't live in that premises and you live in Garden City and you own the home and somebody else is occupying it, the guess is pretty good. You're not allowing somebody just out of the charity or goodwill to live there for free. So it's a presumption of rent that the landlord can come back as a rebuttal presumption and say, no, they're not, and put in evidence that they're not. But it puts that burden onto the landlord, the absentee landlord, as opposed to the village. Now, I'm sure one of the first questions is going to be, what if I allow my family member to live there for free? Good question. What if I live in Garden City and allow my son-in-law to live in the house that's down here? That's an affirmative defense. That was previously passed by this board that said if it's an immediate family member, that's an affirmative defense to any violation of charging rent. So it's just to try to combat the absentee landlords that are making it very difficult in this neighborhood to collect the rent and then putting the burden on the village for rent. But to prove the rent, this now has to put the burden on the landlord to disprove that they are not collecting rent.
For public, we'll open it up to public comment, and like always, please go to the podium, sign the card, come on. Go.
An exercise.
Basically, what would the landlord be able to use to prove that he's not collecting rent?
I don't want to make it easy on the landlord by putting into the minutes what the good defense would be, but...
Well, I'm just saying, I mean, is there any teeth to that?
Oh,
Can
sure.
they just come up like the guy who's living there saying, yeah, he met me on the street, I have nothing, and he's letting me live there for free?
That's a good question. That's going to be an evidentiary question that's going to be before the court. But instead of having the village to say, yeah, there are people occupying the house, we have to then prove, well, how much are you paying? Well, they dummy up and say, we're not going to tell you. And then it's hard for the village then to prove they're actually collecting rent. This puts it back onto the landlord. If you're not occupying it, you have people living in your house, there's a good presumption that you're going to be collecting rent from those people. And that's going to be required a rental permit and inspection by the village and all those things. That normally keeps these houses safe.
Thank you. Next, state your name, please.
There's no pen, you can't fill out the answer. Question, squatters, does that apply to squatters?
Squatters generally don't get rental permits.
Well, no,
What
I'm saying is, the squatter, if you go there and you see a house is occupied, all right, and you find out who owns the house, AKA Chase Manhattan Bank, all right, does that apply to that person? Does this Chase have to show that if they're not collecting rent and they don't know someone's there?
That may be where this might ultimately go. Some of those instances, that really wasn't the intention, but that may be an unintended consequence. That if they've got somebody who's occupying it and they should be collecting rent or should be otherwise getting a rental permit for people that are staying in the house without their authority or getting them out, exactly. So that may be an unintended consequence if we use it.
Just for the record, his name is Frank Gabriella.
Still doesn't know my name.
I guess I'll be up here a lot. I never heard of this proposal. Can you hear me? Yes, you hear me?
Yep.
It's against my constitutional right.
Then you should move.
To where?
Okay, come on.
To where? To where?
Let's,
I'm innocent until proven guilty. This amendment here that they brought up in front of you, you're guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah. Now, the reason why it's not an unconstitutional, and also why it's passed in the town of Brookhaven, it's not unconstitutional because what this is an evidentiary standard. You still have your ability to come into court to disprove it. So if you're innocent, evidentiary standards change all the time. They shift all the time. This burden shifts it onto the absentee landlords. You can come into court if you have the proof and you are innocent, the truth will set you free.
no other comments? I'll accept the motion to close the public portion. Gary, seconded by Gail. All in favor? Yeah, I'll accept a motion to accept, I'll make a motion to accept section 380-4-A of chapter 380 of the village code, create a rebuttal presumption of rent. So moved. Okay, next one, resolution amending Article 1 of Chapter 470 of the Village Code to impose a gross receipt tax on utilities operating within the village.
This is not a new tax, just for explanation for what this is. This is a gross receipts tax on utilities. We had a consultant, every pole that's on a property is on a village right away. That utility then pays to the municipality a gross receipts tax. That's not new from the village of Mastic Beach, nor does it necessarily get reflected in your immediate utility bills. This is passed by the state legislature, section 1402, subdivision 4 of the state real property tax law. The village on formation in 2010 became what's known as an assessing unit village. Without this law that enables the village to then keep and retain those taxes, previously, this is why it's not new, the town of Brookhaven collected this area's taxes. The village then gets formed, becomes what's known as an assessing unit village. Now essentially the utilities had a free ride, they have not been paying the taxes, because there's no one to pay it to, but it should have otherwise, as it did before, go to the town of Brookhaven. But now it's not. So the intention of this law, as recommended by our consultant who was retained to find out where this money is, said pass this home law so that now as an assessing unit designation, instead of it going to nowhere, it'll go to the village of Mastic Beach. To be used as part of the general fund for the village for improvements.
Okay, we'll accept motion open to the public. If you go to the podium, please. Why? Thank you.
My name is Danny McNamara from McKinley Drive in Mastic Beach. My only question is, are you working on trying to get that money that's sitting in Never Neverland?
That's a good question. The reason why we saw that it wasn't coming down to the village board hired a consultant to get that money. He's not sure, because again, very rare that a village gets formed. He's not sure if he's gonna be able to go back to get those 3 years. He's fighting to try to make that happen. It's a guarantee if we pass this law that we will get it going forward.
Now, to be critical, I distinctly remember 3.5, 4 years ago, when we all first started talking this whole deal, one of the things we were going to be able to do is collect this kind of money, which was going to other places. And here we are 4 years later, you know what I'm saying?
Some of them we do, we get the franchise tax.
Yeah, I understand that,
Yep.
but, you know. Thank you.
No other public comment? Make a motion to close.
Sorry. Hi, I'm Marcia Basin. I just, 94 Hemlock Drive. I just want to say, we always come down here, we bad to them. I'm probably the #1 person. But the house across the street from me that I have been complaining about for years, it's torn down. Everyone knows that. The grass was very high. I went to the mayor, I went to the village, I put in my complaint. The house is completely torn down now. Go to the mayor and the board and everything. The street, Hemlock had, oh my God, so many holes in it, I guess from the rain and the storms and everything. And the guys that was on the block came there, they were very professional, it was very, very polite, and they did a very good job, as much as they've done so far.
If no other comments, I'll make a motion to close the public portion. Well, and I make a motion to accept Article 1 of Chapter 470 of the Village Code to impose a gross receipt tax on utilities operating within the village. So moved. Okay, make a motion to approve the work session meetings held on October 2nd, 2013. So moved.
Mr. Mayor,
Question?
I'd like to make an amendment on the
Okay.
after executive session on the 2nd, we came back into special meeting, we reopened special meeting, and we put forth to continue our association with Debbie Stack as our grant writer. The salary she gets now. And
Okay, thank you, Bob. Yes, it was omitted, and we did extend the contract, so we'll add that to the minutes. I'll accept the motion. Yes, I'm good. Okay, yeah.
I had questioned why the property on Jefferson is not being used as a fill area, and it's written out as a house.
I thought I had heard it, but it's
No.
Okay, it is property.
It was property.
Okay, barring no other changes, I'll accept the motion to accept. By Bob, seconded by Nick. Okay, next one is a resolution to set a public hearing amending the law restricting buses and trucks over 10,000 pounds, except for school buses and local deliveries to certain village roadways. And that date will be okay, setting for November 12th at 7 o'clock. Seconded by Gary Starks, all in favor? Okay, resolution authorizing the payment of the present bills as per abstract 5-2013 in the amount of $315,706.83. So moved. Okay, trustees got reports? Bob?
Yes, the monthly report for September 2013. Number of complaints received was 176. Number of appearance tickets was 94. Number of unfounded complaints was 11. The number of closed by compliance was 31. The number of warnings was 27.
Thank you, Bob. Gary?
Just one item that a number of people have brought to my attention as far as the garbage collection. If someone has a problem, if they put out large articles in front of their house, if they put out trees and they've got them properly bundled, and they haven't been picked up, you have the number of Quickway, and you can call Quickway directly, and they will schedule an appointment to pick up a large amount. You don't have to call. It should be on your calendar. Everybody in the whole village receives a garbage.
Also, yeah, it's also on the website. Also, if anybody has a TV they're throwing away, garbage carters do not take TVs anymore. Just let the village know, and we're setting something up with the carters where we'll pick them up and he'll take them away once we get them, so just let us know. Trustee Gale?
Thank you. I just want to let you know that construction has begun on 2 of the Habitat homes. On September 27th, the home on Woodland, and on October 3rd, 160 Huguenot, the walls went up. And it'll take about a year for these homes to be completed, because they only work on them 1 day a week, but it's the process of the Habitat program. But that is the beginning of Habitat. Two very nice families have been chosen to live in those 2 homes. We finalized the Robin Hood grant. $250,000 has been distributed to residents that were damaged during Sandy. There's still some checks that have to go out, the payments are going out, but the $250,000 was awarded to residents of Mastic Beach. In addition, Suffolk County awarded the village $11,000 grant to create a coffee table book with photographs of Mastic Beach, and I'm asking the residents to submit their photographs to be considered for the book. And you won't get paid for them, sorry, there's not enough money for that, but you'll get credit. And in addition, we are revamping our website, and we're going to put photographs of Mastic Beach on the website, vintage photographs as well as current, So we're asking that residents who want to walk around with their camera, send the photographs in to us. If you need, I have my business card. It's got on my email address. You can email them to me. If they need to be scanned, we can scan them. So we'd like to include residents' photographs in the book and on the website. In addition, this month, the building department had 71 searches, 44 rental permits were issued, 20 building permits, 1 certificate of existing use, and 5 certificates of compliance. Things are getting very hectic in the building department because of all the construction after the storm, so things, if you feel like you're not being taken care of, give the guys a break. We've got 2 more part-time building inspectors on to try to take on some of the load, try to move things along more quickly. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Myself, Gail and Bob have been working very hard on getting these cameras for the village. The cameras that are going to be installed will be the first of probably somewhere in the area of 80. We're getting 8 up. We're trying to get the 72 backed up by Homeland Security, which seems to be very good right now. They will also have on them wind velocity and height of water for the tides. They will be in certain areas of the village. We'll be putting 8 up as early as next Friday. It's a 2-day process for 4 counties. You'll see them because they'll be up there. They're going to be also assisting the Suffolk County Police Department because they're going to be in areas of where we feel we're concerned with some crime. So I think we're moving in the right direction.
Okay, I have a couple of things. In the next couple of weeks, actually it started already, you'll see a dredging machine out there. A dredging machine is not dredging Fire Island, it's basically dredging the mouths of the canals that come into area, Unkachunk, Ford River, Mystic Beach Yacht Club, Pasquash Creek, and Johnstown Creek. Once January comes around, that's when they're actually supposed to be starting the dredging of the Smith Point area. If you see the dredging and you see the spoils going other than the areas that are located, it's, I think they're dumping right now, it's Smith Point County Park, Marina, off of William Floyd Broadway. Other than that, I'll open it up to public comment. If anybody would like to speak.
Hi, I just want to say that we were talking about the sanitation. If we could work a little bit harder as a village to do something about our recycling. There's so much money in recycling, and I think we don't do very well here in the village with people recycling. It's just a thought. Also, when you come into the village now, coming through Neighborhood Road and Mystic Beach Road, it's clean. We're so impressed, and friends that have come out to visit cannot believe how clean our village is, so glad you're doing a good job. I also want to say that we mentioned about pictures of the community. I would get in touch with the library. They did 2 great presentations on that. The person is Linda Nell. She's in charge of it. And also, guys, the pantry is empty. Thanksgiving is coming. We need so much. Last night I did get $100 here from Pellishbrook Creek, and that was well used, yes. Anything that you can give. I mean, I stand at the door, that doesn't mean you can't leave, but anything is welcome, so thank you.
Thank you.
Frank Marino.
I wanted to ask about my concern is that the gazebo that was vandalized was shortly the Our Village expense to repair. I was wondering if we could get the town, it came up last night and Dan promised.
Correct, I think you got the explanation from Dan that he was gonna have the Parks Department come back and put the slats in. The cameras up at the Nutrition Center were fixed by us and they are working, and the detectives were there this afternoon. I believe they're coming back tomorrow.
Perfect. I was concerned about that because there was some concern about whether or not they were going to pursue that. I just wanted to say, before, what I was really asking officers in Suffolk County PD is to set a standard. And the standard we think as community leaders and community members will be that if an officer observes a crime that is taking place at that time, that officer take action, take those students or whatever, in that case for students, but there are too often where, and he's not here to answer that, but a community establishes a norm of expected behavior from their police department. And I think that they haven't gotten that message for some reason. I know you folks, I know you've tried. The point is though, that if a police officer observes a crime, how is he not the complainant? In the case of the slats, I didn't observe the slats being broken, but I'm the complainant on the gazebo. Nobody's gotten back to the police department. But it's the bigger issue. It's like you said about who cares about the weeds. The real deal here is we should as a community expect a certain standard of action from our police department. And it's clear. If they're a police officer with handcuffs and a gun, and they observe a crime, I understand how they wouldn't take the person into custody. And 150 fights, how they didn't take students into custody that day is beyond me. But just in general, people here in the audience have seen things and witnessed things that is such a poor level of police response. And there's something wrong with this picture. So I just want to say that.
If I could add to that, is Dick still there?
I left.
I know the 7th precinct has a meeting once a month that's open to the general public. We do our best to communicate with them every day, but I think the more people that actually go to these meetings and talk about it, another gentleman here recommended going to the school board.
Sure.
Nobody complains to the school board at all. When I made the phone call to the school, I said, gee, you're the first guy to complain. You gotta be kidding me. But if you went on Facebook, there was 500 hits on the fight that were posted. And you tell me if 500 people could sit there on their phones and put it on Facebook and not pick up the phone and call the school, there's something wrong with it. Don't take your frustration out on Facebook. Call up the school, that's what they get paid for, break their chops too.
Hi,
Hi.
Lucille Hines, 24 Cedar Road. I agree, you guys are doing a pretty good job. It's gonna take years for us to really be able to go anywhere near a Hamptons or anything like that, and we gotta be kidding if we think anything different. One of the things, I have a question on, Maureen and I have been working, in fact, Maureen's are working on getting, we're part of the senior club, and we just mentioned about the buses and the size of the buses. We happen to have, at this present time, a commitment to have one of the primetime buses come right to the property owners and pick us up. Are they gonna be considered too big to come down the street? Because
No.
then we'll have to have a different.
The buses will probably be pretty much restricted on the side roads. Anything off of Neighborhood Road, Mastic Road, and Mastic Beach Road. We met with Suffolk County, and what they did was they did a survey. We also did a survey. If you follow the buses along the routes on the side roads, not one person is being picked up. Actually, one person actually signed a commitment last year that they wanted to be picked up at a certain area just south of Neighborhood Road, and she hasn't used the bus yet. The county is wasting money, the bus is going down here, the bus is speed, they have no consideration for anybody else on the road, so we figured that it'd be better just to keep them on the main road, which again, Neighborhood Road, Mastic Beach Road, and that would be sufficient enough. So it's still good at the property owners.
Good. I wanted to thank Nicole for dropping off some stuff today to the, out to the outreach, right? And just even peanut butter and jelly and a loaf of bread, we can give it out to somebody. We had a couple of people come in today that were homeless, living in their car. Peanut butter and jelly, we have, canned tuna fish, stuff like that. So thank you for anything that you do give to Maureen, because greatly
Are
appreciate.
you talking about the little scat buses, or are you talking about?
No,
the
I'm
big-
talking about the big charter bus, a charter bus.
The
that's
big
why-
blue bus, that's.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it would, you know, something that normally you would see it being, you know, up at the King Cullen or something like that. But we made arrangements to have them come pick us up, and I don't want, we have to let them know if you're changing the rules that they would not be able to come down here. Because it's a couple of weeks from now.
Yeah, it's part of the main road, so you won't have a problem with that.
Okay, I don't know whether it makes a difference on, the comments on the kids and being arrested and stuff. But generally, when you hear about it, like Newhouse was saying, aren't their hands tied because they're under the age and they can't arrest them because they're not of a certain age? I don't know exactly where it cuts off, but he's saying 14, 15-year-olds, aren't they considered not to be arrested? Yeah.
Still be arrested.
They can still be arrested.
With that money, can still stay here.
Yeah, they can, I know, but I'm just saying maybe that's part of like where we have to be a little bit easier on them. But again, thank you for everybody for the outreach.
All right, thank you.
Hi, Michelle Wilkinson, Washington Drive. What Bill was saying is true. I mean, I work in a school district, and the one thing they do not want is us at a meeting. And that's why nothing changes, because nobody goes to meetings. I can't go speak up at a meeting because...
You won't have a job.
That's right, and they're very firm on telling us that. But a lot of stuff does go on there, and if nobody ever shows up, they're never gonna change anything. I just advise you to go to some of those meetings and make your voice heard, because that's what they don't want. They don't want community involvement. They don't want any newspaper, they don't want anybody saying anything. They want it to slide under the radar. If you want it to change, you have to go change it.
Thank you, Michelle.
Just to talk about what Michelle just said, she's right, you have to go to the board meetings. The only problem is, they're having a board meeting right now. So it's either you go to the village or you go to the school. And at the same time, you can't do both. So, I mean, we're here, great, that's wonderful. We can't, the school board's been having their meetings the second Tuesday of the month.
And they have another one towards the end.
They do, but you know, it's like maybe we can make some kind of arrangements here as a village and change it maybe our day or time or something. Especially if we have problems with the school, then, and we need to be at the board meetings, we can't be at both of them because we might have problems with the village also. So if you miss this meeting, you have to wait until the following month to make that meeting, to make a complaint if you have it with the village.
All right, how about we do this? I'll send the superintendent of school an invitation to be here at our next meeting.
He's not gonna be here.
Well, you know what? We'll tell him the concerns here, and if he doesn't show up here, then we'll have to explain to the newspaper, the news 12, why he wasn't here.
Okay, so that's the understanding.
And I hear you, there's two meetings going on at the same time. It's hard to be at two places at a time.
Exactly.
The way we invite everybody else in here, let's invite the superintendent here, or a representative of the school, and let them explain to us what's going on here. No other comments? What?
Right here, I'm up here now. I have actually a couple questions for you guys. On the town, I know we don't own it, we only rent the property. Okay, why are we storing unfastened 100-pound propane tanks?
I believe you were the gentleman that called and came down and took pictures, correct? It was taken care of the next day. That propane tank was actually found laying on the side of the road. It was picked up at Village Hall, correct? And we took care of it. Your empty white jug in there when you called me, the next day it was labeled. So we are pretty much in compliance of everything that's happened.
How about clearing the blocking of the back door fire escape at Town Hall?
What's back door?
I'll show you that in a minute. I'll show you my tablet. The picture is not that good.
Are you talking about the back door in the back building?
Yes. No, not the back building. I guess you call that the main building. See there's machinery there.
And what door, the back door that you're talking about right here, on the other side of the meter is a boiler room. There's no access to the building, and that door is also a closet. There's no access to it.
Okay, well, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And it puts the chairs propped up against the door.
Correct.
Okay, now, you're doing good, grandson. I have a couple more questions. These open containers here that you're using for storage, they are normally left open, there's nobody around them? I was taught on the fire was one way in and another way out, in case somebody gets locked in there.
These are just storage sheds.
And leave them open to the general public.
Well, obviously, this is a daytime picture, and it's
Yeah.
open because the guys are working on it.
I haven't seen
It's
them.
an equipment trailer.
I know it's a equipment trailer. Now, what's it these containers?
Those are all containers that were found and then now destroyed and thrown in the garbage.
We did talk with what's in it, did you guys find out?
Yes, it's dying for mulch farms.
Okay, I thought it was some kind of solution because
What you had to do was ask.
I tried to.
No, you didn't. You asked me certain things on the phone, and I gave you an answer. If you would have rattled all this other stuff, I would have been happy to answer. I don't hide anything, sir.
Okay, but these are both storage places, okay. And we don't, I know, I worked at school for 33 years because of being accessible by the general public. We had to have these containers that we used for storage in case somebody got locked in, escaped.
Well, unfortunately, there's no container that you can rent today that has an escape route.
I know, we had to come in and put the doors in ourselves.
I've never heard of anybody cutting them in there. Well, if you go down every street, most of the streets of Mason Beach, there's these pods that are there. And they're open every day, and there's only one way in, and there's no escape route. You want us to put an ordinance out there so they have escape routes on here? So, let me finish. You have a shed in your backyard?
Yes.
Okay, 10 by 10 shed?
Yes.
You got an escape route?
Yes.
You got 2 doors in your shed?
No, one of the boards fell off, but I haven't gotten around to replacing it.
You got me on that one, sir. Thanks for your comments. Anything else?
Let me just go over the picture. I assume that you answered that, and we took care of all these other little problems, right? Very good.
I have no problem when I get a complaint, something that's going on in the village, addressing it the right way or telling you what we're doing about it.
Right.
We had an inspection not too long ago from the state, Department of Labor, and we had a couple of issues that, being a village that we had to address, just like the school does, and we did.
I don't work there no more.
Okay, and when they came back, we passed with flying colors. And again, we find, you see 2 boats there the other day?
No, I don't happen to visit there.
Okay. We pick up things after hours in the night. Our guys go out, we get phone calls, there was 2 boats dropped off, we picked them up. That 100-pound silver was dropped off. We had to wait for Bay Gas to come and take it. We don't have the facilities to store it, and we don't have the facilities to transport it, so that's why it's there.
Okay. Now, how do I get a hold of town enforcement after 4:30?
You dial the number, and they work until 12 o'clock at night.
I dialed the number Saturday night, and the machine was your voice saying push 2, and it was to go to the mailbox.
What number did you dial?
Hold on, I'll check it on my phone. And it says it's town hall. If there's another number, I'd like it because on occasion we have problems. Nobody's there. I actually ended up calling the 5th precinct. They don't want to hear it.
Actually, they don't want to hear it because they're in Patchogue. We're in a separate precinct. I got your back.
And I got the number. Oh, I hate it. 281-326.
Correct, that's actually the business number, the daytime number for Village Hall.
Okay, I'll write that down
So,
because
we'll give it to you.
I live near Osprey Park and sometimes we have problems out there.
Okay.
He's doing it too.
That's right. See, that you lives
Yeah,
there.
no, but that's what happens when you live there for so many years.
Timmy, what's that code number, Timmy?
The code, 926 0051.
926-051. Okay, thank you. Because it was just a constant loop.
Okay.
I'm going to get you a lead from.
Very nice try. Were you?
Getting water from the highway.
And you didn't see me there, right?
That's it, anything else, sir?
That's it.
Okay.
So I gotta sign out one of these papers here?
Yeah, all right, I just have one more thing. The Village of Mystic Beach, now that we have our own zoning, we're actually looking to form a village planning board. We're actually looking for 5 people, possibly 5 and an alternate. What I ask everybody to do is please submit a resume, pretty much identifying yourself and what experience you have and how you could actually help out the village. You could submit that to the village clerk, to Draghi, and I'm looking to have this all done by October 24th. So if anybody that's interested out there, please try to help us as best as we can, because we want to get moving on this zoning board. Also, one application is available for the zoning board of appeals. If anybody's interested in that, please submit it along with the same time frame. Other than that, if there's no other comments, one more.
Anita Wetzel, Magnolia Drive. I hate to bring old news, I'm getting old anyway, so it's old news back here, but can you give us an update about us and the property owners, please? Anything that's going on that maybe that our village should be knowing as to where money may be going, because we're still having an argument with the property owners? Are we having an argument with property owners?
I'm not. I get along with everybody. I will let the attorney know.
Bill, I know. Exclude yourself.
There's, no real update, the court, the case is still pending before Justice Gargiulo in the Supreme Court.
For what?
That's,
Can you please explain to everybody?
that's the original case to enforce the covenant whereupon the formation of the village, the property owners, the owned property would be transferred to the village. That's the claim in the suit.
Okay, and may I still ask a question, is why would we want to take over the waterfront property? Is there a personal agenda that somebody has interest for their betterment?
It's 6.5 miles of waterfront. Illusion.
Okay, so is there a personal agenda that
No.
is going on that, why do we want to take over the waterfront? Besides being so many miles that I'm going to.
It's upon the original purchase, that's what the deed says.
I
The
know,
deed
but-
says upon it will be incorporated, and just from a more global perspective, every village you go to has a waterfront access that's open not to members or not restricted, but to the general public, the tax-paying public. The village of Patchogue has 35 acres on the front, with shorefront park. The village of Belport has all their waterfront that's down there. The village of Port Jefferson has all their waterfront, including the town of Brookhaven, which has the right side of that bowl. They have, every municipality has the waterfront open for free.
Is that
The only one, the only.
Because that's what I'm concerned about, that it could become something like Port Jefferson there, that a lot of that waterfront property, you could just walk the dock and you can't put your boat in because you can't afford it. So the whole thing is,
I wouldn't see that down here. I mean, the only agenda is the public good. It's the only reason every one of these municipalities have municipal docks that are down there too for very inexpensive boating. We're a boating community.
and do we have, as the village, do we have the manpower to maintain the waterfront property as well as with the docks and all that, as these volunteers who are not paid at all to go and fix the docks and all this kind of stuff? I mean, do we have the manpower?
6.5 miles.
I mean, I'm asking the question, I'm not, we go to the property owners meetings and we also go to the village meetings. And I wish that the property owners came to this meeting, and I wish that the village people,
I'm the fireman.
would go to the. I just want everybody to know.
Yeah, and again, like Brian just said, their meetings are not open to the public. I'm a member of the property owners, and, I haven't gone because if I go to another meeting, my wife would probably shoot me.
That's what I'm saying.
But, everybody's welcome here. This is an open forum. where the property owners, you have to be a member or else they won't let you in
You
there.
could be a guest.
Really?
And you could just walk in and sign as a guest.
But you can't sit at the marina if you want to have dinner and sit on the dock. You're asked to leave because I've done it 3 times and I've been asked to leave.
Yeah, to answer your question, I would definitely say yes, because the way the village has been going right now, if I were to ask 10 people in this audience right now that I need help tomorrow to do something, I would probably get 20. Volunteering is very high in the village. It's not really a great concern.
I just wanted to ask you, because I really don't know. You know, we don't have a walkabout town here, we have a workabout town. And we don't wish, I don't think we wish, to either pay more, like if we have to pay more taxes to maintain it, if the village takes over. Who's gonna take care of that? I mean, you're gonna have to hire more people, correct? Because you're not gonna have the volunteers to take care of it.
Well, as far as right now, everything on the north side of Riviera Drive, we maintain. We're maintaining. Property owners only owes a little portion on the south side. And just to let you know right now that the village is working with Suffolk County Vector Control and DPW, they're actually the ones going in there right now under our direction to go in there and clean up all the waterfront for over the years of stuff that was, debris that was left in there.
Okay, and then what about the docks and stuff like that?
The docks, we have no control of.
But those people are paid by the MDPOA. The dock master, the guards, they're paid.
Right.
Yeah,
Let's
but
not have
the
cross
guards
liabilities.
Right, they're paid, right. Okay. That's why I just wanted to bring that up, because I know that they're being sued, and you're suing, and they're suing, and I don't know, I know
Believe
who's
me, the
getting the
village-
money, I don't wanna say who's getting the money.
The village is working
It's our
hard.
money, and it's going to.
Despite the fact that there's people that don't think we're doing enough for the village, you heard it tonight, the roads have been cleaner. We proved ourselves into 2 hurricanes, we proved ourselves during a snowstorm. So, I mean, I can't say more, and we did it with the people we are.
I was supposed to stand for the village, right, in King Cullen, and that's when I was able to stand, and I didn't have to go with my feet. I was supposed to be there for 2 hours. I decided to stay there for 6 and get more signatures and stuff. So you know what, I'm glad that we did become a village. I'm just hoping that we're working more, not just to take control of this property, but to clean up the area, like you guys have been working on. I mean, I pulled up and reported a house in Elm Road. And why wasn't one of our people who have a card that really supposed to inspect the area was able to report that? I mean, I haven't been out of the house for a while, but I do go for the road, and my husband took me for a little ride. And then you look at this whole mess, and I said, well, that's been like that for a while, hasn't anybody reported? Thanks goodness he's got better eyes than I have, because I had to ask him, what is the number of that house, so I could call up. So I'm gonna look forward to looking at driving there again in Elm Road, heading over to the dockage, and see what happened. But that was like a disaster. They had even a tent in the back. I mean, we had a tent once, and that's because we had a 25-year gathering, and all our friends from upstate New York who were campers came over, so we had to set up one tent. I think it was our daughter's wedding. That was only once. But these people who have a tent there, they have kept it there for about 2 weeks now. I don't know if it's still there.
If your husband and yourself are riding around, you see any problems, I'm pretty sure you got my phone number, I give it out all the time.
I don't have yours directly.
478-1300. My wife's gonna kill me again. We listen to the people that have the complaints, we address the issues, we've taken out 8 lighted houses, probably within this year, take them down and just cleaned up the whole area.
And you have done more.
And your taxes haven't gone up yet, and they will not go up yet.
And you have done more in whatever years, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, than Brookhaven has done in 25 and 30. So, and I noticed that the houses, Elm Road, also between Daisy and Magnolia on the south side, that house, we just noticed that the grass was cut. It's still abandoned already, but it's cut. That hasn't been touched for a long time.
And it was cut by a village employee.
And that house,
I don't know, because I can't see the address, if there's a mailbox.
Yes, the husband says yes. Okay.
That house is being looked at and addressed more than once. We're on top of it. We're involved with doing certain things we can in the house right now. It'll be cleaned up.
And I might add that we're village, and so I'm right.
Thank you very much.
I'll get it.
What's the receipt?
Bill Hilder, 6 Hemlock Drive. I just touched on that a little bit. I think you're doing a great job, and I'm a little worried about our village. And I was wondering if you could say anything about this threat of legal action from the property owners. I read it in the newsletter, and I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Anything you said about it?
You know, it's a notice, what it is a notice of claim. I was very candid, and the mayor was candid in the advance. We think it's a colossal waste of time, even to have to address it and fight it if we have to spend the money, whether it's frivolous or not, whether it's, you know, has no legal basis, which as far as we're concerned, it does not. They were essentially, their argument was that they're upset that they got sued over the deed, and they're upset that they had to follow the permit process, which was enforced on every homeowner, including them. There are no special exemptions, and yet they feel that they should be. And they admit that they were out of compliance, and then criticize our attempt to get them into compliance. And what's aggravating from the village's perspective, and I can say, you know, unofficially, this mayor's board has gone out of their way to try to be cooperative. Whether they feel it or not, whether it's sufficient or not, certainly this board has done it. And to be accused, not off with a notice of claim, but to lead with a press release is not really stating the merits of your case. If you feel that strongly about it, file the case and let's go. Don't lead with a press release that the press get it first and the reporters call the village and ask, do we know about it? How do we know about it? We didn't get served with the process, but they got the press release first. So what really are the intentions? And that's just the concern. It is, from a legal perspective, the last thing this village wants to spend any money on are lawyers. They should spend money on cutting the trees, closing abandoned houses, paving roads,